The Winter Olympics, being held this year in Sochi, Russia, are only a few weeks away. Recently, 2 deadly terror bombings took the lives of over 30 Russians, and it raised fears that Olympians and spectators could be in harm's way during the upcoming games. One lawmaker who is worried Sochi might turn into another debacle like Benghazi is New York Congressman Michael Grimm, co-chair of the House Russian Caucus. He joins me live. Congressman, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Why do you think that our athletes may be in danger, and why do you think this might be another Benghazi?
Well, first of all, as far as our athletes being in danger, whenever we have, in the world we live in today, a world of global terrorism, a massive event like this, someone's always going to be at risk because it becomes a massive target. The problem we have with Russia is, number one, they don't really have an open press, so we don't know exactly how their security system's doing or not, because there's no one to really vet it and to tell anyone that there may be a breach. The second thing is Russia doesn't exactly have a great track record when it comes to sophisticated tactics. As a former FBI agent, you need to have sophisticated tactics to deal with any incident that may happen.
But you know what's interesting, Congressman, I mean, Russia's the one who told us twice,
right,
the FBI, your old agency, that the Tsarnaev brothers were, up to no good. So Russia's not that behind it,
Absolutely. And Judge, here's the reference to Benghazi.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's harder now for the United States to say to Russia, let us coordinate and cooperate with you to increase security, when they can turn around and look at us and say, you can't even keep your own ambassadors safe in your own consulate. So and you're not honest about it to your own American people. You swept it under the rug. So that's where, when we lose credibility like that, that's a big problem for the United States.
So what to do now, Congressman? I mean, on the one hand, you've got Americans over there and spectators over there, and on the other hand, you're saying, are you worried that the Russians aren't going to tell us things? Or when you say they don't have a free press, what do you mean?
Well, they don't. I mean, the press is stifled by the government there. They don't have an open and free press.
But wouldn't the government look to us and everyone else, because they don't want to have a problem over there?
No, absolutely. And again, I do think that the Russians are going to do everything they can. What I would like to see is the United States, in coordination and cooperation with Russia, work together to make sure that we have the best possible security. Again, I just think the problem for us is that it's hard to go to Russia and say, we want to help you with your security, when they can turn around and say, after the debacle you just had in Benghazi, maybe we're better off on our own. And, as you just mentioned, we gave you a heads up, not once but twice,
on the Tsarnaev brothers.
On these brothers, and we didn't act. So that's why we've lost credibility, and it's harder for us to work with them.
But you know what's interesting, in these recent attacks in Russia, the 30 Russians who were killed, did anyone take credit for that?
My understanding is no one is actually taking credit, but we believe it goes back to Chechens that have ties to terrorists. The other thing we need to remember, and this is something I learned a long time ago, even back in my days in the Marine Corps, if someone is willing to give their life, like strap on a vest,
suicide bomb, right?
A suicide bomb, there's very little that you can do at the outer perimeters. And we even saw that in Boston at the marathon. Unfortunately, no matter how good your security is, there can still always be a breach. It's that inner part of the security that you hope is not penetrable.
But you know what's interesting, Congressman, is that, this is a free nation here in the United States. I mean, and that's part of, the price that we pay for the freedom is the openness. In Russia, it's going to be very different. I mean, I can't imagine people just going to kind of dance into the Olympics.
No, in fact, it's going to be quite the opposite. They've already made it perfectly clear. If you're attending these shows in any way, if you're going to be coming to a game as a spectator, you're going to have a long time to get there, and you're going to go through a maze of security. You're going to be showing your passport, showing ID, and there is going to be several stages of security before
screening, I'm
absolutely,
sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I actually feel pretty confident that Russia will do a good job. Again, I would feel even better if we were coordinating and cooperating, and part of that security.
We could be. How do you know that we're not, Congressman?
Well, I hope that we are. Unfortunately, I also think that under this administration, our relationship with Russia has been as strained as it's been since the Cold War. So, because of our lack of foreign policy or a policy of appeasement, they don't respect us, quite frankly. I'll just be honest. I don't think that they have the respect for the United States that they should have, and that's our own fault because of the failed policies of this administration.
Well, I was reading something the other day where, the whole world has less respect for us, and so the president has come into office. But hopefully we'll be able to change that. I mean, hope springs eternal, doesn't it, Congressman?
I think it does, and, and there's also prayers. Never forget that we can still have God's blessing.
All right. Congressman Michael Grimm, thanks for being with us this evening.
Thank you.
All right, and coming up, what if the lights went out across the entire country? Sounds like a nightmare, but could it happen? The terror threat facing the United States power grid is next.